I deal with parents who won't admit the damage they did. How do you deal with it? You don't. The mere fact that you're asking the question, how do I deal with parents who won't admit the damage they did, implies, Tori, that you want your parents to admit the damage they did, right? Obviously. You want them to admit it, and they're not admitting it, and you don't know what to do. What do I got to do to get them to admit it? They're not going to admit it. They're not. And so the real fucking come to Jesus moment for you is, what do I do knowing I'm never going to get my needs met? For them to acknowledge and apologize, for them to own the shit that they did. What do I do with that? And the truth is, you have to recognize it's never going to come. And so you have to grieve the fact that you have parents who don't want to own their shit. You have parents that are, at least in this area of life, children who can't own when they've made a mistake and caused pain. You're dealing with a child, and you're actually dealing with adults who want to protect themselves at the expense of you. Think about what I just said. You said, how do I deal with parents who won't admit the damage they did? Well, if they're not admitting the damage they did, if you're in a relationship with anyone, a friend, a lover, a coworker, a family member, and they won't admit and own the damage they did, what they're fundamentally doing, if you know they did damage to you and you're telling them that and they won't own it, they are fundamentally protecting themselves because they're fearful you'll kick them in the teeth, or they'll have to humble themselves, or it would be hard for them to admit that they hurt someone, or they're protecting themselves at the expense of you. Now, I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's not love. That's bullshit. I used to tolerate that kind of shit when I was younger. I think we all have in life at different times. Tolerating someone protecting themselves at my expense when I know they've done me harm. So what you're really confronted with here, Tori, is, how do I deal with parents who won't admit the damage they did? At some point, you're going to have to let go of wanting that admission because they have power to make you miserable as long as they have something you want and they're not giving it to you. At some point, you have to recognize that my parents are fundamentally children. I'm never going to get my needs met from them, and that they have never met them probably in all likelihood up till now. That I've never really had parents who were parents. They've been using me to get their needs met in all likelihood. And then once we have that realization, it's liberating. It's freeing to realize I don't have to keep contorting myself trying to get them to admit the damage they've done and give me the approval and the acceptance that I want. You're never going to get it. And it's sad and it's painful, and you're going to have to grieve that shit. But it's also liberating because you realize now I can go on with living my life my way without trying to win something from them.